opioid-related overdoses. 6 people today, 6 people tomorrow, 6 people Wednesday. Last year, we lost 2,357 residents of Massachusetts. Every one of those people is someone's child, maybe someone's parent, someone's loved one. So let's turn to this case here today. The FBI last Wednesday, November 1st, seized over 100 kilograms, that's over 200 pounds, of suspected controlled substances from one location in Lynn, Massachusetts. 3 men have been charged federally, and this is an active, ongoing investigation. More specifically, according to the charging documents that have been unsealed in federal court, the seizure included approximately 17.6 kilograms of raw methamphetamine, which equates to approximately 3.5 million individual doses. The search and the materials seized include 28 kilograms of counterfeit Percocet pills, about 280,000 of those, that contain fentanyl. 27 kilograms, 90,000 pills of counterfeit Adderall. 1.8 kilos of a brown rock powder-like substance with fentanyl, cocaine, methamphetamine. Translates to about 900,000 doses. If you're adding up those numbers, all told, there are more doses seized in this one house in Lynn than there are people in Massachusetts. And the street value is close to $8 million. And unfortunately, that's not even the worst part. The worst part is sitting right in front of me. This big bag is 9.2 kilos of fentanyl, what tested positive as fentanyl, that's made to be designed to look like candy. If you take a quick look at that bag, you'll see they look like heart-shaped Valentine's candy that we've all seen. Also seized were 5 guns. All of these drugs, the 5 guns, a lot of material that's needed, like scales and mixing materials, found in that one location. It's a house in Lynn, Massachusetts. Small children reside in the first and second floor, and this activity was happening in the basement. As a result of this, 3 men have been charged, and they're alleged to have been participating in a very significant drug trafficking operation. The first is an individual named Emilio Garcia. He's the alleged ringleader of the drug trafficking organization. Sebastian Bajan is the second individual charged. He's the lieutenant to Emilio Garcia, according to the complaint. A third individual named D.B. Felix. These men have also been arrested on state charges separately, and they're currently in state custody. They'll be in this courthouse to answer to these charges next Monday, November 13th. So let me just tell you a little bit about how we got here today. This investigation started just a few months ago in July of 2023. I rattled off the statistics at the beginning of my remarks. One unfortunate victim of the opioid crisis was found dead of an overdose in Salem, Massachusetts. And it was excellent police work by the Mass State Police, the Essex DA's office, and the Salem Police. They started working, where did this individual who lost his life to opioids get the drugs? And they started looking backwards to where the supply came from, and it tied up with an ongoing federal investigation. And it traced back to the 3 individuals whose names I just gave to you. For 3 months, federal investigators were conducting surveillance of these 3 individuals and their alleged drug operation, which culminated in the searches that were done on November 1st. Great police work rarely makes great headlines, but it does save lives. We're taking deadly narcotics off the streets. I have the privilege in this position of seeing every day amazing police work, and I commend local law enforcement patients. And on the supply side, we also protect the civil rights of people who are addicted and who need access to treatment for services. This is a full-fledged effort by our office to do whatever we can on this issue. This epidemic does not discriminate on race, socioeconomic status, religion, class. All of us are subject to it. Essex County, it's not a coincidence this happened in Essex County. That's the county with the second most opioid overdose deaths in the last 2 years in Massachusetts, trailing only Middlesex County. And there's an irony here that just 2 days before this search was conducted, the White House issued an advisory to all local schools recommending that they stock their schools with Narcan. And they conduct training for teachers and education professionals on how to administer Narcan. Think about that for a moment. Our school supplies now include erasers, pencils, and Narcan. Why are they doing that? Because the numbers among adolescents are increasing more and more. There's been in the last 10 years, a doubling of overdose deaths among adolescents. Just in 2021, 1,100 children overdosed. It's a full-fledged effort to combat this crisis. We're not going to rest in the U.S. Attorney's Office. We're going to use every tool in our toolbox to keep battling this. This case may be eye-opening for some in the public, but for those of us who work in this space, it's a reminder that there's still so much work to be done. The FBI has been an amazing partner in this and so many cases. I'll now turn it over to Special Agent in Charge, Jody Cohen.
Thank you, Josh. Good morning. My name is Jody Cohen. I'm the Special Agent in Charge of the FBI Boston Field Office. Today we are here to announce the arrest of 3 alleged drug traffickers in what we believe to be the largest seizure of fentanyl and methamphetamine from a single location in New England history. This spring, the FBI's North Shore Gang Task Force initiated an investigation into a large-scale drug trafficking organization led by Emilio Garcia. We believe his crew's constant churn of drug transactions has kept the Bay State awash in dangerous and deadly narcotics and is tied to the overdose death of at least one person in Salem. Last Wednesday, the FBI executed 4 search warrants at multiple locations in Linfield and Lynn. As a result of the 2 searches, we seized 103 kilograms of illegal narcotics, including hundreds of thousands of counterfeit pills containing fentanyl and meth, disguised as Percocet and Adderall. The total weight of these drugs is approximately 228 pounds. That's roughly 10 million doses of deadly fentanyl and meth that we seized before entering our streets and causing devastating effects in our communities. We estimate the overall street value of these drugs could be as high as $8 million. We also seized 5 firearms, 1 with an obliterated serial, and $50,000 in cash. Equally troubling, these bags in front of me, containing about 9.2 kilos of heart-shaped fentanyl pills, resembling sweetheart candies, also known as conversation hearts. It's another example of a potential bait and switch that could easily prove fatal to our young people. Pills or candy that contain these drugs, whether it's fentanyl or meth, are often deliberately made to look like something else, like Adderall or Percocet, or something a buyer may think is safe. If you or your loved one are buying pills off the street or getting them from a friend, or from anywhere that is not a pharmacy or physician, it might not be what you think it is. The overdose epidemic has and does to this day wreak devastation on all communities. There is no neighborhood, no level of income, no professional or educational background that this does not touch. The FBI will continue to do our part to combat the drug trafficking these drugs, but no arrest, no prosecution, or conviction will bring back a friend or a loved one or a family member who is victim to an overdose. In closing, I just want to thank the agents, analysts, and task force officers assigned to the FBI North Shore Gang Task Force for their great work on this case, along with the U.S. Attorney's Office and his team for the collaboration and support, Lynn Police Chief Chris Reddy and his department, and all our law enforcement partners that provided valuable assistance, including the ATF, IRS, Massachusetts State Police, Chelsea, Linfield Police Departments, and the Essex County District Attorney's Office. Thank you.
Any questions?
Mr. Levy, if you could just talk about how significant was this drug theft war as an organization? These sound like really big numbers in the state of Massachusetts. How big of an impact did they have?
My conversation with Chief Reddy, getting ready to come out here, in that community is going to make a huge impact. Now, one of the hard things in law enforcement is you take out a big supplier like this and someone else comes in, because there's a lot of money to be made in drug dealing. So this is not going to eradicate the problem, but the numbers we're talking about, over 100 kilos, we don't see cases with that kind of magnitude. We prosecute regularly cases that involve multiple kilos. 10 kilos is a large case. This is a very significant amount of drugs found, and it's in one location, one house in all of Massachusetts, and it's enough drugs, as I said, that would actually supply the whole state. So it's a very significant takedown.
And on that note, how do we, I think both of you have said that this is one of the largest single seizure in Massachusetts, or what I've heard. How do we know that? Where does that information come from?
Well, it comes from we have a stockpile of press releases over the years from New England states. We know what we've done in our office over the years. Whether it's number 1 or number 3 or number 7, it's about the people who are affected by the drug trade. It's not about the numbers.
Thank you for the police chief. I'm curious, senior citizens in multi-family homes, whether we're children and families, in a neighborhood with other families and children, and what it means to you to have this removed from this neighborhood. Is its activity in this neighborhood?
Well, I think a seizure of this nature is going to have a positive effect well beyond that neighborhood, throughout certainly Lynn and the surrounding community. This is a significant seizure. Our city, like many cities, has been devastated by the opioid epidemic, and it impacts all ages, from teens to literally 80-year-olds. So to get this level of drugs off the streets will hopefully save that many more lives, because we lose people every day to this problem.
Is this unique? Do you think there are other operations that may be as large?
I wouldn't call it unique. I think there's other operations, whether it's in Massachusetts or other states, that are at the same scale. And that's why we put all the effort we do into working up from someone who overdosed and backwards to where the drugs came from. So I certainly wouldn't sit up here and tell you this is the only one out there. It's part of the reason why we're so concerned about it.
In terms of the shape, are you seeing this shape or similar shapes showing up in schools or other places that
This is new to us. This marketing of drugs like candy is a new development, and it's a very frightening development.
Is your impression that this is done to avoid detection, or is to make it more appealing to
Yeah, I guess I'd say this is an ongoing investigation. We're trying to figure out why you would market it like, or manufacture it like that, I should say. And you've hit on two things. One is expand the market, perhaps, and another is if you were to walk by and see someone holding these things in their hand, you wouldn't necessarily think it's something illegal.
I'm wondering if there has been a conversation with the family of the person who overdosed to tell them about this work that initiated with that death, and what their reaction has been.
So the charges relating to the death of the individual in Salem, that's being prosecuted separately by the state, by the Essex County District Attorney's Office, and the Massachusetts State Police. So it has a connection to what we did. It's sort of the origins of what we were working on. We were already working on something separately that tied together. So it would be a question more appropriately directed there.
Do you think the court system is doing enough here? Because according to this, it looks like Emilio Garcia has a record. He's been found guilty, sounds like he served some time, and yet he's continuing to do what brought him to jail in the first place.
that question has a lot of layers to it. Recidivism is something that we are very focused on with people who get prosecuted by the system and trying to get them on the back end services they need to hopefully turn their life around. He does have a record. It's a serious record. That will be taken into account in this case. And generally people who have records like that are looking at more significant time than someone who has no record.
Combination of meth and fentanyl, is that unusual? Like as a compound in one item?
I don't know if either you want to take that, Jody. Unusual. We've seen that in cases. I don't know the exact purpose of why they're doing it in this situation. Chief?
It is something we've seen before. And first of all, I want to take a moment to express my appreciation on behalf of the Lynn Police Department and the City of Lynn to the partnership and the support of the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office to work with us on investigations like this. It's critical to have those partnerships, along with our local partners and our state partners, to do this type of work, and so much is needed. To your question about whether it's unusual, no, it's not unusual, and I think you can certainly look into this further, but the manufacturing process is not one that is set up to be pristine, and therefore there could be cross-contamination. I know that's at least one cause. There may be others, but that's at least one issue.
Anyone else have any questions? Do you have a sense of how far these drugs may be traveling?
We got work to do. We just took this down on November 1st, and that's one thing we'll be looking at is where were these drugs going? And there's various ways you can assess that, so we're working on that.
Do you think some of these drugs are already out on the streets?
When we say these drugs, no.
Similar to in these shapes.
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, that's something we're going to look at. This was not the first rodeo for these three individuals. They were already dealing drugs before we were onto them, and so whatever they manufacture out in the streets, I don't know if this is a new product line that they were trying out or something they've already been doing for a while.
Thank you, guys.